it's Ivy here today, and today I have another video for you all. I've shared like bits and pieces of my story, but I've never like actually fully shared my full story of how I lost weight in the first place and how I gained it all back. I actually don't have anything written down at the moment. I haven't planned this video at all. This is kind of just something that like I felt like was prompted to me to share, and I was just like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna do it. Just gonna share it. Also, the testimony of what God has done in my life. First, before we get into the video, I'd like to publicly appreciate and acknowledge the comments that I get from you guys. I have been getting like the nicest messages on my YouTube channel videos and even my Instagram DMs that have absolutely like filled my heart with so much love and so much joy. So I want to share with you guys here and publicly acknowledge those who have taken the time out of their day to even write a message for me, even if it like has taken you 5 minutes to write. Like, I don't know why you would do that, why you would take time to send something to me, but I really appreciate them. So this has been my favorite YouTube comment from last week's video. It was so lovely and so nice to read, and this was my favorite DM of the week. If you want to be featured in next week's video, comment down below or DM me in the next week. On my Instagram, it's at @Ivy_Nicole with 2 E's. And yeah, let's just get on into the video. Okay, so like, where do I even begin? Honestly, like I don't, there's so much to this whole story, so bear with me. It all started when I was like really young. I was born and my parents said I was a really healthy baby, just like chubby, you know, loving life. And at 3 months old, my parents actually sent me to the Philippines to live with my grandparents on both sides. They kind of just like took care of me. My parents were like recent immigrants here to Australia, and my mum, she couldn't take time off work because when you're a recent immigrant here, you obviously don't have the Australian benefits, and at the same time they couldn't afford help back then, and my dad had to work full-time as well, so the best option for them was actually to send me to the Philippines to live with my family. And especially as well because when I was like 3 months old or so, I'd had a lot of these things called convulsions. I've actually never heard of them until my parents mentioned them, but they said that I was kind of having like a seizure, and I'd have these fits where my fever would run really high, and then my eyes would roll to the back of my head. And it was so hard for them because they were so new here. They didn't have a car, they had a few friends, and so like they would pretty much have to, I think, public transport to the hospital at like 1 a.m. in the morning or so. So my parents' plan was pretty much to send me to the Philippines, save a bit of money for our family, have some savings, and also buy a car at the same time, so that, you know, in situations like that, like emergency situations, they wouldn't have to rely on public transport or calling friends at like 1 or 2 in the morning. From there, I went to the Philippines, and they told me that I came back like I think a few months before my first birthday. They said I came back really skinny. I feel like maybe I didn't get the right nutrients moving. Ooh, it's a bit bright. Okay, I had to completely move because that lighting was too harsh. When I was really young, I didn't get the right amount of nutrients. I wasn't breastfed after 3 months. I'm pretty sure they like weaned me off, what's it called, formulas and stuff, and I was such a picky eater back then that I didn't eat. I didn't have formula till I was at least like 2 years old, which is when like your proper development and growth happens in the first 2-3 years of your life. Moving forward from that, I started developing like a fear of like vomiting when I was really young, like 4 years old or something. I can't even remember how it happened. I don't even remember the specific incident that made me like afraid of it. Mix the skinniness and kind of like the malnourishment of like me really young and being a picky eater, and then all of a sudden put this fear of vomiting in. I was just like so afraid of food. Throughout my whole life, I remember my nickname when I was really young, in like my family friends' like community and stuff like that. They used to call me payatot. Payat in Filipino actually means skinny, and they just added like, I don't know, it's just like a nickname, and they would call me like payatot like every time I walked anywhere, and I really hated it. I hated when people call me skinny. I hated when they would call me that. Anyways, moving forward, I was just like really skinny kid my whole life. Now the sun's going. This is so frustrating. Well, we're coming back here because the lighting is just better again apparently. But yeah, I was just skinny my whole life. Didn't really want to eat, didn't have a very big appetite. I had this fear of vomiting, but I didn't really know it up until my first year out of high school in university. There are so many multiple times throughout my childhood and even in high school where I would have panic attacks, and I didn't even realize what they were up until like later on. I didn't even know that I was like anxious or like afraid of vomiting or anything like that. So in uni, I studied a double degree of HRM and psychology. First year of uni, I only studied psychology, and we started going through like phobias and specific disorders and stuff like that and anxieties, and it didn't hit me up until that point that I was actually incredibly anxiety-ridden person. Not that I was like self-diagnosing myself or anything, but reading all those things in the textbook or like listening to the lecture, I was like, whoa, I really fit what they're talking about. We pretty much studied like the dissertation of like anxieties and phobias and stuff. And I remember doing an assignment on OCD, and I'm not saying that I have OCD or anything like that, but I had very similar tendencies to OCD. If you don't know what OCD is, like, please like look it up properly. It's actually a really big mental thing that people really struggle with, and it falls under the category of anxieties. It wasn't until that point that I realized that I was a very anxious ridden person, did have emetophobia, and was like quite deathly afraid of it. So I started to learn more about myself, and it was really great actually. Like taking that first step to learn more about myself was really good, so that I was more aware of my actions and more aware of like my surroundings and what kind of like triggered me. And it was the start of me learning about myself, which was like at 17, 18. So 2015, towards the end of 2015, I actually started going to church. Probably I'd kind of been like a Christian my whole life, but not like my parents are Christian, grew up in a Christian household, went to church every Sunday, but never had a relationship with God for myself up until like 2015. I fully delved into it and was like, God, like I'm here for the rest of my life, take me. Yeah, like I started my relationship probably with God, and it was like the most amazing first few months. Oh, it was just like so beautiful. Like spiritually, when you first delve into it, everything is so beautiful and glorious, and you don't even realize what kind of trials and tribulations God has waiting for you. The very first day that I started going to church again probably was the day I actually met my now husband, Ani. So this is where it actually kind of gets a bit juicy. We started dating or like seeing each other early 2016, like January 2016. Didn't start dating until June 2016, but already at that point we're kind of like a couple. I learned a lot about myself in that period. I feel like when you finally get with someone and it's a real serious relationship and you really open up yourself to them and they open up themselves to you, you really like learn so much about yourself, so much about yourself, because in the end they're kind of like reflecting off what you kind of put out. It was interesting because Ani he's a big thinker. Like he thinks about things a lot. He would just constantly kind of like question himself, and in the end it was good because it challenged me to question myself too. I opened up to him about being afraid of like vomiting and all that stuff, how all this in my life has led to this point, and it was really good because he challenged me and really tried to make me come out of that. And he was really like why do you think this way? How do you think that you would be able to, I guess, stop yourself from letting these anxious thoughts kind of derail your life? And we really challenged each other a lot. We challenged each other a bit too much actually. We fought constantly. The first year that we were dating, if I'm being completely honest, we fought a whole lot. Like I was constantly crying. Sometimes they were really bad fights where we would like literally yell at each other, but sometimes we're just challenging each other so much to be better. The end of 2016, he actually, how do I describe this? He decided to go a different way with his faith. We were both Christians, and he decided to kind of like walk away from it, decide to really see if he like truly believed in God in that way that Christians do, I guess, like fully surrender. And this journey was like a 2-year journey. To this point in my life was actually like really hard for me. We were together already and we were fighting a lot, like challenging each other a lot on random things. I would constantly be crying, and then to add this, it was just like a lot. And you know, there was a lot of strain in friendships, things that happened exteriorly outside of our relationship with our friends, and I just felt like so alone during this time. I felt so alone. I was stressed because we were fighting all the time. I was stressed because he decided not to be a Christian, and when I'm stressed I don't eat. Like I really don't want to eat at all. I just felt like there was no point in eating, but at the same time when I'm stressed I get like this really like mucusy kind of feeling in my throat that makes me want to gag or like throw up. And as you guys already know, like my biggest fear is throwing up, and so I lost a lot of weight during that time. It was like a period between like September to December where I was like 40 kilos, and then one day in December, this is so random, I just felt like I just felt like God being like, weigh yourself, or I felt something in me being like, weigh yourself. And so I weighed myself and I broke down crying. I cried so hard. I saw that it was 36 kilos, but that was 36 kilos after a day of eating already. And I know it's always best to weigh yourself in the morning. So pretty much I was 35 kilos and that shattered me. Like, I was so devastated. I was like, how did I let myself get to this point? How did I not even see that I was like this skinny? Like, I don't understand. I tried on a bunch of clothes and a lot of my clothes didn't fit me anymore. A lot of my bras, like this strapless bra that I'm wearing right now, didn't fit me. My favorite pair of jeans, my favorite skirt, nothing fit me, and it was so devastating. I finally looked at myself and realized just how skinny I was and that I really, really needed help. But at the same time, I was just so anxious ridden that I didn't even know where to begin to seek help. That was by the end of 2016. Throughout 2017, I tried my hardest to gain weight. It was amazing because during this time, actually, my brother, I think he just started uni. All his friends and him at uni, like, all they wanted to do was go to the gym and get big. And my brother wasn't skinny like me at all. Like, he was just pretty average kid. He started going to the gym and he started gaining weight. He's actually gaining muscles and doing really well with his fitness. And so I asked him, like, I was like, how did you gain weight? Like, how do you do it? Because I'm struggling so hard. And he told me pretty much everything that I know. All the tips that I pretty much share. Well, a lot of them I kind of figured out my own, but the whole MyFitnessPal, exercising, what you need to eat before and after a workout, protein, all that. He taught me it all. Weighing my food, he showed me all of that. So like, I really owe him so much in this weight gain journey. He taught me everything and it was like easy to catch on and stuff. But the thing was, I couldn't apply it because I was still afraid of eating. At this point, I was 35 kilos. I was definitely afraid of eating and pretty much shut down everything else in my life. In 2017, I stopped hanging out with friends. I stopped going to connect groups, which is like, for example, like a little small group. Going to church made me feel afraid. Going anywhere really made me feel afraid. And I was just like so scared of doing everything. Like, you guys don't understand. The person that I am today is so far from who I was in 2017 and 2016. I literally just wanted to stay at home all the time, just to pretty much avoid being afraid or being sick in public. Like, it was ridiculous. I had no friends. I just had Arnie and all we did was kind of fight a lot of the time. All of 2017, I just tried to figure out my way through life. I got a new job. I worked something like 30 hours a week whilst at university, and that added a lot of extra stress on me and a lot of extra strain on my body. I worked in retail and I was constantly on my feet, standing up. As much as I tried to gain weight and try to eat all the food, I just wasn't gaining weight because I was expending way too much energy. There were times where I would start my shift at 9 a.m. in the morning and finish at 7 p.m. at night, and I wouldn't eat the whole day because I was just so afraid of eating in public and being sick in public. It was so bad. So the end of 2017, I started attending this all girls connect group. That is like one of the huge, most pivotal points in my life that kind of changed things around for me. It was terrifying and it was daunting at first, but the relationship that I built with these girls, they helped me so much more than they actually ever knew. Even if I didn't talk or say anything, just being around them completely accepting me for who I am and meeting up with them every fortnight to talk about life and everything, it helped me so much more than you know. Having people around you is crucial, especially in these times. Like, isolating myself did nothing for me. I got nowhere in a whole year, and then hanging out with the same group of girls every single fortnight, that consistency did wonders for me mentally. Towards the end of 2017, I went to this thing called Sisterhood at the church that I went to. It's just like a huge girls' night. The pastor of our church, Pastor Bobby, she preached this message. I can't even remember what it was like completely about, but all I remember taking from that message was get your voice back. And that was something that I felt that I lost for so long. I felt like this whole anxiety and like all this stuff had taken away so much from me. I didn't want to speak to people about anything because I was just so afraid of my life, so ashamed of the way that I've been living, just like literally not eating half the day, and I had all these like weird eating habits and everything, and that was a pivotal like changing moment for me. I was like, I gotta find my voice back. I gotta get my stride back. I used to be so much more open to people and so much more open to life, and to hear that message was just like food from my soul, literally. And then the middle of 2018, I decided to go to Hillsong conference. By this point, I'd already gained about 3 kilos. I was at 38 kilos, but I was kind of fluctuating between that. I was going up and down, up and down. I kept gaining weight and losing weight, gaining weight and losing weight, because I don't know why. I was just not very consistent with it. I was still so afraid of certain things, and I was letting people in more, trying to go out on adventures more and stuff, but still afraid. And it wasn't until this conference that I literally let everything go. Every single time that I saw something in relation to conference or someone talking about it, I felt a spark in my heart. I was like, oh my gosh, like I need to be there. For some reason, I just feel the need to be there. I just feel like God is calling me there. But I didn't have the money at the time because I didn't have a job. The job that I had, I kind of like lost, but then got back. It's a long story. I really prayed about it. I was like, God, I don't have any money. Tickets are really expensive, and then like I have to pay for accommodation and flights all the way down to Sydney. Like, if you provide for me, God, like I will go. And I gave him a specific price point in my head. Like a Hillsong conference ticket is usually $350 or something like that, at the very latest, if you purchase it like 1 week beforehand. And this was already 1 week beforehand. I was like, if someone presents me a ticket for $250, I will buy that. Anything else, I'm not going, God. And one of my friends approached me and was like, hey Ivy, I heard you wanted a ticket to Hillsong conference. And I was like, I do. How much are you selling it for? And she told me the price, and it was a bit too expensive. And I was like, I'm actually looking for it at this price. You can sell it to other people if you want to. If you can't, I'd happily buy it for $250. And so she got back to me like a few days later and was like, hey, like I'll just give it to you for $250. And I was like, what do you mean? Are you kidding me right now? I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I'll buy it off you. And I bought it off her, and I was like, God, like I only have $500 left. Like I can't pay for anything more than $500, like accommodation, flights, food, and all that stuff. And then my friend, she offers me to stay with her and her family at their apartment in Sydney for a week for free. Oh, it was amazing. It was just like so incredible the way that God worked out that whole situation for me to go. I ended up going. I was so afraid that whole time. I went, I was shaking, I was trembling. I felt like the attacks of like the enemy every single day. I kept crying at nighttime and in the mornings, and I was like to my friend, I don't want to go to the session. I actually don't want to go, and I don't know why. I actually don't know why, because I was so happy being there. I was like, why is this happening to me? Why every single day, every single night? Why am I crying? What is going on? And I realized that was actually the work of the enemy. He didn't want me to go because he didn't want me to keep progressing and moving forward with my life. Every morning I was just like crying and I didn't want to go. By the end of it, I felt so released. I felt so free. I'd experienced like nothing like this in my life before, and it was literally just the most amazing feeling. I just felt like God was like, for your obedience, for following me and coming down here even though you were so afraid, here's freedom. And he was always giving it to me. He was always like presenting it to me. It was just me that was like not taking it. And this whole new experience changed me. I don't know if that makes sense, if I'm like wording it right, but yeah, that was like what happened to me. So if you haven't noticed the timeline between the end of 2016, which is when Arnie decided not to be Christian, and middle of 2018 is when I went to Hillsong conference. That was actually almost 2 years in between. Throughout that time, I'd just been having discussions with Arnie about Christianity, and we would like not test each other, but we would like talk to each other, really try to understand each other and see where we're coming from. We still didn't have a lot of fights, but we definitely got a lot better with our communication. I was just praying for him so hard. I kept going to church every single week, and he actually came with me towards the beginning of 2018. He started coming with me again, and just to try it out, but he never fully surrendered himself to God. I've just been praying for him hardcore. And the weekend that I came back from Hillsong conference, God granted that prayer. Like, I didn't even ask God for it, and from there, I don't know what it was about that weekend or what changed it. In the service that we went to on a Sunday night, Arnie put his hand up and gave his life back to God, and it was just mind-blowing. Like, I couldn't believe that, like, God actually did that. He actually did that. And from me willingly going to Hillsong conference and doing all that, he gave that to me because of that, and it was just the most amazing thing. I cried all night, for the best reason, of course. From that week and from that night, that was when I was actually able to gain weight, because I felt so free mentally and I felt like this huge weight was lifted off me. I was able to gain from 38 kilos to 42 kilos. The only reason why I stopped was because life started getting a bit more hectic and a bit more busier. He actually taught me little by little how to release my fears to him and really try to learn how to talk more kindly to myself. The more I learned about God and his kindness and his character, the more I wanted to speak to myself in that way and not be so harsh to myself. Hello. Something I didn't really explain when I look back editing this was, I guess, like the healing process of what actually happened after I went to that conference, and I felt like everything pretty much changed for me. I went to the conference, it was amazing. I felt so released, I felt so free. From that freedom that I guess God had given me, I feel like he slowly over that time gave me the courage to be able to free myself of like this completely debilitating fear of like vomiting that really stopped me. I'm still, not gonna lie, like pretty afraid of it. There's still so many times where I get so anxious and I feel it in my throat and I just like want to shut the world out pretty much. Or I guess like there are so many areas in my life that I feel like I still need to work on. But in saying that, I am progressing. I went from not being able to go out with friends and not really having very many friends, or like even close friends at that time, because I just pushed everyone away because I was afraid and like didn't want to show people that. I was completely anxious everywhere I went, and I didn't want people finding out that I was like anxious, and I would like gag in front of them. I now have like really good close friends and have built like a really good close relationship with people. Events that used to freak me out don't freak me out anymore. Sometimes I still get a bit freaked out, but it's not as bad as I used to. I traveled overseas for the first time in 5 years earlier this year, and that was honestly something I didn't think I could do. I didn't think I could host a wedding, have my own wedding. Like I literally didn't think that was possible, me looking back at it 2-3 years ago. Like I genuinely was like, I can't do this. Like I want to just elope and just, I don't know. My life has changed so much, and God has changed my life so much, and I would not be sitting here where I am today if it weren't for him. And let me tell you guys, like if you are going through a similar thing, like mental things like depression or anxiety or anything like that, or specific phobias, same as what I go through, or anything similar, like literally God is always the answer. I don't know exactly how he's gonna do it or what he's gonna do in your life, but he will do it. Like you just ask him, he will do it. He will deliver, and he will deliver way beyond your expectations. You can ask for something small and he will give you something like you did not even ever expect in your whole entire life. Yeah, back to other Ivy. From there, I was able to gain the weight, and I just felt so free. I felt so liberated. The heavier that I got, the lighter I became. As weird as that sounds, it sounds so polarly opposite, but yes, God is really good. He turned my life around so incredibly much from that. From there, so much flowed after that. I was able to gain weight. I was able to get back into my life socially. From there, build proper relationships and proper friendships. Not that like life is all peachy and great and stuff now, but he changed so much of my life and turned my life around for the better, and I am forever ever grateful for that. But yeah, that's just like my weight gain story, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you watched this, thankful that you've actually taken interest in my story and followed my weight gain journey from the beginning. Really grateful for that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you will have a wonderful day ahead. If you haven't already, subscribe to me. I post a new video every single Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Brisbane time. And follow me on Instagram. It's at @Ivy_Nicole with 2 E's. Have a wonderful day or wonderful night wherever you are. Bye!